not doing he, we're not doing man, we're not doing gay. Like, and it was very freeing. You know, ever since I was little, I always wanted to be Cruella de Vil. And now...
Years ago, I knew that transgenders was gonna be a thing.
Live in a country where a man could say, now I'm a woman.
Let me be absolutely clear with you right now. What Katt Williams and D.L. Hughley just said about Magic Johnson's son, E.J., is not the kind of conversation the mainstream press wants you having. Because this one cuts deep, and it touches something that a lot of people have been whispering about for years, but nobody with a platform wants to say out loud. Here's what triggered it. E.J. Johnson was spotted in Paris, photographed and posted all over the internet, rocking a women's leather dress and what appeared to be heels that looked like they were built for someone twice his size. And this comes right on the heels, a pun fully intended, of EJ going viral for claiming he looks better than any woman alive and that the men he attracts are all straight.
Attract gay men, and I'm not attracted to gay men. These are not the men that are interested in me in that capacity. I do that when I go to the straight.
Now hold on, stop right there. If a man is pulling toward EJ and EJ presents the way EJ presents, in what universe does that man get to walk away with a straight label? The logic doesn't survive contact with reality. The math is completely broken. And the pronoun situation makes this even more layered. EJ has reportedly moved away from he/him entirely.
I told them on my birthday in June that I was like, we're not doing he, we're not doing man, we're not doing gay. Like, and it was very freeing, you know, even like son. I was like, you know, the world tried to give me that label, like Magic Johnson's son. And I was like, well, he's dead. And now there is Miss Thing.
Preferring they/them or she/her. And has told his own parents they are not allowed to call him son. Let that land for a second. Magic Johnson, Lakers legend, cannot call his own child son in his own house. Now the media has tried slapping labels on EJ, non-binary, gender fluid. But EJ rejects those too, which fine. People can define themselves however they want. But when you reject every label while simultaneously claiming you're more attractive than women and that straight men desire you, there is still a label that fits. It's called craving attention at an industrial level. And D.L. Hughley came in and said exactly what a lot of people were already thinking.
Now I'm a woman. And we will call you by your name as a woman. But that doesn't mean that a doctor ain't gonna call you until you need a prostate examination. You can wear a sundress when you go. Yeah. You still getting the same thing I'm getting.
You can assign yourself any identity you want, but biology operates on its own schedule and doesn't check your preferences first. Then there's Katt Williams, and Katt isn't approaching this from a place of mockery. He's coming from somewhere darker and more deliberate. On Joe Rogan's podcast, Katt laid out a framework that connected Hollywood success, transgender identity, and occult ritual.
Years ago, I knew that transgenders was gonna be a thing. It's just I had gotten so much information. I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender.
Specifically the figure of Baphomet. According to Katt, there are rituals in these circles where demonstrating loyalty means kissing Baphomet's ring. And from that, Katt said he understood years ago that trans identity was going to be pushed to the center of culture. That submission to power, bowing to whatever the industry demands, was going to become normalized. Katt's core argument is that none of this is coincidence. The men in dresses, the rituals, the Baphomet imagery, it's a system of control. The way Katt sees it, the moment a celebrity agrees to do something publicly humiliating, something that guts their ego and goes against everything they built their image on, they've handed over the keys. They've demonstrated they'll comply with anything. That compliance is the leverage. And once the industry owns that moment, they own you. Speak out, and everything they have on you comes pouring out. So you fall in line, keep performing, keep climbing, and keep your mouth shut. Now here's where it gets genuinely uncomfortable. Katt's argument doesn't stop with EJ. He points to a pattern. Among regular people, studies put trans and non-binary identity somewhere around 1% to 2% of the population. But look at celebrity households specifically, and the numbers are dramatically higher. So ask yourself, if this system of ritual humiliation works on the parents, why wouldn't it reach the children? These kids grow up inside the machine. They're on sets, backstage, in rooms full of industry insiders from the time they're old enough to walk. If the parent is controlled, the child becomes part of the leverage. And for someone like Magic Johnson, one of the most iconic, traditionally masculine athletes this country has ever produced, a Lakers dynasty figure, a billionaire with an all-American image built over decades, having a son who publicly rejects manhood entirely, wears women's clothing, and claims to attract straight men would be, by any traditional measure, deeply humiliating. Yet Magic smiles. He does the interviews. He posts the supportive content. He takes the applause for being an ally. And we need to ask ourselves why a man like Magic Johnson, who has never once needed anyone's approval for anything, is performing that script so perfectly. And then there's this specific detail that keeps getting glossed over. In interview after interview, Magic refers to EJ as gay. He uses that word like it's settled, like it's the agreed upon framing. But EJ himself has made it clear he doesn't fully embrace that label. EJ has spoken about his identity in more fluid, more nuanced terms. So you have to ask, is Magic actually listening to his son? Or is he using the most palatable, most media-friendly language available so the interview goes smoothly and nobody asks a follow-up question that makes him squirm? Because those are two very different things. One is acceptance, the other is management. Now here's where this gets real heavy, and I need you to sit with this. There is a significant portion of people who believe Magic Johnson is privately struggling with all of this. Not publicly, never publicly, but behind closed doors, genuinely uncomfortable. And the reason he cannot say a single word about it comes down to one thing. His image is the asset. Magic isn't just a retired basketball player. He is a brand architecture worth over $1 billion, built on endorsements, public appearances, motivational speaking circuits, and being universally beloved. He survived contracting HIV in the early 90s, survived the retirement announcement that shocked the world, and spent decades constructing a narrative of responsibility, resilience, and family values. That rebuild was meticulous. And if he even exhaled one moment of hesitation about EJ's lifestyle, one slightly uncomfortable pause that got clipped and posted, the media machine would dismantle everything he rebuilt. Sponsors would disappear by morning. Magic also came up in NBA locker rooms alongside Charles Barkley and Larry Bird. Those were not environments that rewarded sensitivity or nuance around gender and sexuality. That was old school, hyper-masculine professional sports culture at its peak. Magic was forged in those spaces, and then the culture shifted fast, and Magic had to make a choice: adapt publicly or become the villain in a story he didn't choose. He chose to adapt. But whether he adapted on the inside is a question nobody in that press room is going to ask him. This is where Katt Williams' framework starts clicking into place in a way that's hard to ignore. Katt's argument has always been that Hollywood operates through systems of control, that the machine extracts compliance through pressure, through optics, through what you cannot afford to say publicly. And when you look at Magic Johnson, a hyper-masculine, old-school alpha who built his entire identity on dominance and toughness, sitting courtside next to EJ in full glam, posting Father's Day tributes, doing the Ally Press run, that looks like a man kissing the ring, not because he wants to, because the alternative costs too much. And maybe we've been looking at the wrong victim in this story the entire time. EJ gets his platform, EJ gets his reality television, his fashion moments, his celebrity identity. But Magic has to bury whatever he actually feels, perform a script he didn't write, and smile through it on camera for the rest of his public life. That is not freedom. That is its own kind of captivity. But Magic isn't alone in this. Look around at the broader pattern, and it becomes impossible to unsee. There is a whole generation of older, intensely masculine black male celebrities, men who came up in eras where any deviation from traditional masculinity got you clowned off the block, who now have non-binary or trans children and are publicly cast in the role of the proud, supportive father. And the performance of that role is non-negotiable. Marlon Wayans is one of the clearest examples. He has a trans son, Kai, and Marlon has been publicly supportive. But watch how he discusses it in interviews. He uses humor as armor, which is Marlon's whole mechanism. But underneath the jokes, there is tension that doesn't fully resolve. You can feel him still working through it in real time, on camera, in public. That is not a man who has fully landed. That is a man still in the process. Eddie Murphy sits at the other extreme. His child, Angel, born with Mel B, came out as trans. And Eddie Murphy, one of the most vocal, most outspoken entertainers alive, a man with opinions on everything, goes completely silent on Angel. He talks about his other children openly. Angel disappears from those conversations entirely. We get secondhand reports that Eddie is fully accepting and supportive. But if that were the whole truth, why does the silence exist? Pride doesn't go quiet. Discomfort does. Dwayne Wade went the opposite direction. Maximum visibility, maximum public celebration of his daughter Zaya's identity. And while that comes from a real place of love, there's something in the intensity of it that reads like overcorrection. Like a man working very hard to land on the right side of a narrative, publicly and loudly, in a way that leaves no room for ambiguity. These are all men whose entire brands were constructed on toughness, on swagger, on traditional masculine identity. And the machine has put every single one of them in a position where silence gets them canceled and the wrong word ends careers. That is not coincidence. That is a pattern. And patterns in this industry always lead somewhere. If you're tired of the watered down takes and want the real story behind what's happening in the culture, stick with BarzBuzz. We don't do PR, we don't do spin. Just the truth the industry doesn't want trending. Subscribe and make sure you're notified. The next one drops sooner than you think.